How are you?
Morning, Stefan. It's so nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Colleen. So, when it comes to the housing market this year, we've had guests on today talking about, there might be signs of a recession later this year. People may be a little hesitant or timid about spending the money or buying homes. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, I know I've been watching the show all morning and there's some great advice. There is no crystal ball when it comes to the housing market, yet what we are seeing is a calming down. And if we go even before COVID or during COVID, I mean, the fact is that people have a tendency to step back during the months of December and January because it is the holiday season and they are dealing with their MasterCards or the credit cards and they are just it gets quiet. So when it's quiet now, that is the norm. What we are expecting from the Ottawa Real Estate Board, they're expecting a resurgent come, late spring, early summer. So, there is no crystal ball yet. I do believe the fact is that Ottawa has more of a secure market than, let's say, other big metropolitan areas in Canada because we are a government town, we are a high-tech town, and even though there is a concern about the economy, the Ottawa economy is very, very sheltered and different than the rest of Canada.
Yeah, we've definitely heard about Ottawa's stability, economically speaking, time and time again, especially with the federal government being a major employer here. So that is always a good signal for us here locally. When you are thinking about buying a home, what questions should you be asking yourself? Or do we always talk about what's close by? Are parks important? Or is a drugstore important?
That's a great question. And when we sit down with all our clients, myself and any of my agents in my brokerage, the fact is that we want to create a long-term plan. It is not about the sale. And if anyone out there feels like it's just about the sale, it is not. You need to have an agent who is about you. And so I sit down with my clients and say, what's the 3 year? What's the 5 year plan? Are you planning on having children? Are you planning on retiring? Do you want to bring a parent in from overseas and have them live with you? You need to create that plan. And then from there, you have to ask the long-term questions, right? Are schools important to you? Are you planning on having children? So what about the school zones? Do you want walking distance to bakeries and coffee shops and restaurants? Is that important to you? Do you also, as we are not leaving COVID, but adjusting to COVID, is the fact, do you need a main floor office or at least an office where you can get away from the children or parents, family, etc.? Do you need an office, right? And then again, some people, like myself, I'm guilty of it. For me, it's all about the lot and the size of the lot and being able to be outside. Is that important to you? The two things that I always say, you can't change a location and you can't really change a floor plan. The rest between paint and carpet can be changed. You can't change those two things. So when I talk to my buyers, we need to have an open mind because even if they don't like the color of the carpet or the color of the tile,
Mm-hmm.
that can be changed. Yet if you have a wonderful, wonderful backyard or it's the location that you want in an established neighborhood, that's an important thing to consider.
How about the history of the home? How do we avoid surprises? Obviously, the history of the home should be listed by the seller when we get it, but people are buying homes sight unseen during when we saw the big boom in the real estate market, and then they were faced with some shocking expenses associated with that house they purchased.
So this is where you have to ask the right questions, and I love that question, Stefan. So um, the fact is that your realtor should be asking the deep questions. We can go into the history of the house, when it was bought, when it was sold. Your lawyer should also be doing, as they have to by law, doing a title search. Are there anything that should be a concern? The fact is, well, the history of the house, how many times has it been bought and sold? That's not necessarily a red flag,
Hmm.
because a lot of times people will say, well, why are they selling? By law, we actually don't have to say why they're selling, yet we can research in history, right? People buy and sell homes all the time. They may be going through, a breakup of a marriage or a partnership, right? They may be deciding that they want to move to another city. There are all types of reasons why people sell homes, and it's not all scary. There is no, I always joke when I go to my open houses, there's no Jimmy Hoffa in the basement. There isn't, right? There isn't.
Let's
Yet,
hope not.
if there, if if there was a Jimmy Hoffa in the basement, that legally has to be disclosed.
Right.
So the fact is, I want people to absorb the fact people just move and sell for various reasons. And sometimes that can't be disclosed for reasons of separation of a partnership. It may be a transfer of simply a job. We're dealing with a lot of transfers right now. We're dealing a lot of separations right now. So don't be scared just simply because. The only thing that you have to be concerned about, if there is history on the home, if it's an older home, is there a concern? And you have to ask those great questions and ask your realtor, and they should be able to provide you with all those answers.
Let's talk a little bit about chattels versus fixtures. Firstly, what's the difference?
So great question. So first and foremost, when you're purchasing a home, it can be completely overwhelming, right? You're just like, what do I ask? What are the
Hmm.
things that I need to include? And so you need to know what is included in an agreement of purchase and sale. And so when I look at it, what are chattels? What are fixtures? And those terms sometimes can be overwhelming. So a chattel is something that may not be, as we say, nailed to a wall. A fixture is nailed to a wall. It is something that is part of the home. It may be shelving. It may be a mirror in a bathroom,
Hmm.
right? So you need to be clear as to what you want included in the house, where chattels are extra things. It might even be what we are seeing more of is like, it might be backyard furniture. It might be, the extra mirror or shelving in the hallway. It might, right? If it's not nailed to the wall, a lot of times we'll include it as a fixture, yet we need to sometimes look at clarifying when you are buying a home, what do you want in that home? If you go in and saying, I really, really like this pantry set, okay, but it's not attached to the wall, we need to include it. So when you are writing an offer, you need to be clear when you are doing that. What do you want included? The island, there are a lot of islands right now that are freestanding, and
Right.
people are going to walk off with them unless you include them. So you have to be clear as to what you want, chattels versus fixtures.
And do those two terms apply to the home itself? Sometimes we see homes on the move, right? You see them on these big flatbeds. You get the house for $1, but it can't stay here. You got to take it somewhere else. Do those terms
Yeah.
apply for the entire structure?
It does. It does.
Okay.
Like even something as simple as a hot tub. If we think about hot tubs even, right? Hot tubs are actually a chattel. Do you want the hot tub, right? Or do you want the above ground pool removed, because you can actually ask for that, right? And so the whole home has to be clarified in chattel versus fixtures. And it's interesting, and some realtors will actually add a furnace as a fixture.
Yes.
So you need to be clear. And I found it really interesting in the fact that why they add them as a fixture is because they want that furnace that day. And so when you write an offer, you need to be clear about it is that dishwasher and that fridge and that shelving unit of that day. And respectfully, if you are including And now it goes up and down. I've been in real estate for almost 16 years now.
Mm.
We do have ebbs and flows regarding appliances depending on what market we are in. Yet what I would tell all our viewers is the fact that we have a tendency to include all 5 appliances, right? The fridge, the dishwasher, the washer, the dryer, etc. Those are expected to be included. Yet we have a special clause to make sure that they are in good working order. If they were to break down or need fixing before the closing date, before the buyer moves in, they are expected to fix it and fix it at the level or replace it at the level that it was at.
Okay, this is such a good reminder that negotiating the sale of a home isn't just about price.
No, no, it's not. When you talk about negotiating, a lot of people are concerned about price. And I know that we've just come off a very hot market, an adjusting market here in Ottawa. And again, for all the viewers who have watched us over the years, we talk about price, and people are very sensitive about price. Yet Ottawa has just gone through an adjustment. We are Canada's capital, and we are a solid market. So we've just gone through an adjustment that was duly warranted. So now that we are in a balanced market, it is time to ask the right questions. And it's not just about price. I have had clients who have given up $50,000 over asking just to get the right closing date. So think about when you are negotiating with another person, and your agent should be guiding you through this. It's not just about price. Do you have the closing date, the move-in date that they want? Because if you don't, they are going to have to continually maybe pay for storage, or they're going to have to deal with an extra mortgage addition because their mortgage was up and they were hoping to give it up. So you have to think about all the moving parts. It's not just about price. And I think that's where buyers get really nervous, and the fact that I've got to offer $50,000 over asking. No, the clients really want a February 1st close. Can you offer that? Absolutely. We have no problem with that. Great. That's going to be worth writing down on paper versus offering over asking.
Okay, what about the final walkthrough? In the context of a pandemic, we saw a lot of virtual tours of homes. Legally, what stance do you physically have to have that final walkthrough to do the checks off your list to make sure everything's good to go?
So with the final walkthrough, and I love this question. So final walkthrough is got like a 2-prong conversation. So with the final walkthrough, is the home a concern to you first and foremost, right? Are you really concerned about going through the home one last time, even though it's been vacant for a couple of months due to the fact that maybe the people downsized, maybe they had to go into a home, maybe they left town, right? So is the final walkthrough really important? The second thing that our viewers need to know is a final walkthrough is not a time to negotiate. It is simply to ensure that the home has been left in a condition that you like, and or there is no concern of leaving leftover items behind. Because a final walkthrough is not any terms whatsoever of negotiating. It is so that maybe you get measurements for your new blinds or your new couch if you decide to do so. Yet what's important about a final walkthrough is just making sure, they left it in really good shape.
Right.
You cannot go back on a final walkthrough unless the agreement of purchase and sale has stated that all of the owner's possessions will not be left behind. And I have, after 15 years, seen this, and it can be a concern. This is where lawyers get involved. And I think that's a really good point, in the fact that once you have purchased a home and it is firm and final and you're just waiting to move in, this is where you need to lean on a really good lawyer. Us as realtors, we will work our best, yet our hands are tied once the the deal has been firm and final. And so we lean on the lawyers to negotiate other opportunities that may be of concern.
417-3599 or reach out to them. All of their contact information is on their website as well, trinitystonerealty.com. Colleen Lyle of Trinity Stone joins us right now. We have some viewer questions for you, Colleen. Peter asks us, is there a disadvantage to listing your home in January compared to March or April? That is a great debate that I've been hearing several times over the years.
It is. It's the constant debate. It's like the question.
Yeah.
The question. So, Peter, thanks so much. So it actually depends on your home. There is no real disadvantage to listing your home now versus March and April. Everybody thinks that the spring market is the time to sell. Let's think about, the fact that more people are thinking about selling in March or April versus selling in January. So, supply versus demand. Depending on your home, do you have a fabulous backyard? Do you have a spa backyard that needs to be shown in the summer? Then we need to talk about that versus the fact that you may just have a square backyard. There's nothing special about it. No insult to that. Yet, if there's nothing special about your backyard, why would you not sell now? People are starting to get back into it, at least in February, where in March and April, May and June, you're going to have more competition. What does competition mean? Competition means supply versus demand, and you're going to fight with other people. So think about the assets of your home and what sells your home, and create a proper sales plan. Even now, I've got my stager and marketing team and everything else with the homes that I know I'm not selling until March. So create a plan for you.
Definitely a great reminder that the factors aren't just the calendar. There's more to it.
No.
Colleen, we're really short on time, but we have another viewer question that we want to sneak in here. Kennedy asks, what obligation does a purchasing agent have in advising the client of the home features they do or don't want to avoid unnecessary showings that can be disruptive for the seller?
Right. So that's really important on a buyer's agent or a selling agent. It's the fact that it is really important to have an agent who is going to focus on the assets of the home, the upgrades of the home. And at the same time, though, there are people who just want to see the home. And you can't sell your home unless people go in the home. And I understand completely that showings are interruptive, and they can be disruptive of your work schedule, your home schedule, the school schedule, and everything else that you have to go through, whether you have children or not. And so I respect that, yet your agent should be working with you in regards to making sure that they are pre-approved and that they understand the home itself. I know that I personally call any agent who shows my home that I don't recognize, and making sure that they understand what they're going into. So
Okay.
I respect that question, yet you need to get people in your home in order to sell it.
All right, Colleen, thank you so much. We're out of time, but some great tips for us and lots of things to keep in mind if you're going to sell your home. Thank you, Colleen, and Happy New Year to you again.